name is Kylie Mason, and I'm here doing my fourth lab. So first it says to gather my bowl, and then my distilled water, and dialysis tubing. It says to go in and pour my distilled water into a bowl, so I'm going to do that. And then it says to submerge my dialysis tubing and to be gentle because I only have one. And then it says to let soak for 5 minutes, so we'll be back. I'm back from letting my dialysis tubing soak for 5 minutes. I'm now going to remove it and pour this water out and rinse it out with distilled water and then fill it up halfway with more distilled water. So I now have taken my dialysis tubing out of the water and set it on the paper towel here on my stove. And it says I've rinsed it, and now I'm going to fill it up halfway with more distilled water. And then it says to open the dialysis bag. I'm going to do that off camera. I've now rubbed it and gotten it open on both ends. And now it says I'm going to tie it off with a rubber band, and then I'm going to eventually put the funnel in one end. I'm going to do this off camera. I have now tied off my dialysis tubing with a rubber band, and I'm going to stick my funnel in the opening end. It says to hold it snug. So now I went in with my K-Row and into my thing. It's a slow process, but it's moving. So now that for the most part my K-Row syrup is out of my funnel and into my dialysis bag, I'm going to take my funnel out and I'm going to fold this over and do what I had previously done to this end to this end. So now that I have gotten my other end tied off with a rubber band, I'm going to get a cup and my scale. I'm going to put the plastic cup on first, and I'm going to tar that out to make it 0. And then I'm going to add my K-Row mix with dialysis, and it says 4.89, and I'm going to enter that into my table. Now that I have weighed my dialysis in the cup and I have my scale, I'm going to just cut it off, put it aside. I'm going to bring my bowl back over and I'm going to place my dialysis tubing in there completely submerged for 30 minutes. And then we're going to come back. 30 minutes since my dialysis tube was in the water, the distilled water, so I'm now going to take it out. And I'm going to pat it dry and reweigh it. I'm now going to put my cup on here, and I've already tared it so it would be on 0. I'm going to put my dialysis tube in there, and it now weighs 9.52. I have now weighed it, and I'm putting my scale away, and it says to put it back in the same water, to reuse the same distilled water, and put my dialysis tubing back in there fully submerged. Be back in 30 minutes. Now I'm on to my third one. I have let it soak for 30 minutes, so I'm now going to take it out. Ooh, it's swollen. And then lay it on the paper towel and dampen it, and then we'll weigh it. I've now put the cup on the weigher and tarred it out so it'd be 0, and I'm going to put my K-Row, and it is going to be 12.17. I'm now on to exercise 2, or experiment 2, where it says to get my scale, cut it on, put my plastic cup on top, and tar it out. And then I'm going to gradually add some crushed pieces of ice to get it to 100 grams. I will do that off camera. I have now gotten my 100 grams of crushed ice in my plastic cup. I'm now going to fill 100, I think, Okay, it says 100 milliliters of tap water using my granulated cylinder. I'm going to do that off camera. My first 25 milliliters. My second 25 milliliters. My third 25 milliliters. My final 25 milliliters. So now I've got my thermometer and it says that every 30 seconds I'm going to see what the temperature of my water is and put it into my table. So I'm going to do all of that off camera. I have finished doing my 30-second intervals of testing, and so it says to repeat my steps of, and I dried my cup and I'm going to put it back on my scale into tar, and I'm going to start adding more ice to get it to 100 grams. I have now weighed my ice at 100 grams, so I'm now going to take it off my scale, put my scale off, and I'm going to add 0.5 teaspoons of salt to my ice. So I have my half a teaspoon, that's a half a teaspoon. And I'm going to scoop my salt and just sprinkle it over the ice. Now I'm going to go with my granulated cylinder and get 100 milliliters of water and pour it into my salt and ice mixture. I'm going to do this all off camera. I have now added my 100 milliliters of water to my ice and salt mixture, and it says to stir it. I have done so. So now I'm going to go in with my thermometer every 30 seconds and get a good temperature. I'll go ahead and do an example real quick of how I'm going to do it. It says to set it right here in the water, not directly on the ice. And I'm getting a cold reading. I think I'd say around 1 degree. I have finished my second phase. I'm now going into my third phase. I've dumped my ice out, cleaned my cup, and I'm now going to get crushed ice and get 100 grams in the cup off camera. I have gotten my 100 grams of crushed ice in my plastic cup, so I'm going to put my scale away. And now it says to go in with 1 teaspoon of salt. So I'm going to do so. I'm going to just sprinkle it over my ice. I'm now going to go in with 100 milliliters of water in my graduated cylinder into my 1 teaspoon crushed ice mixture. I'm going to do this off camera. I'm now going to go in with my last 25 milliliters of water in my graduated cylinder into my 1 teaspoon salt mixture with the ice. I'm just going to stir it with this just to give it a stir. I'm going to go into my 30-second intervals. I'm going to go ahead and test right now on camera and then do the rest off camera just so y'all get a little bit of what to expect. Ooh, it's a lot colder. I think I'm going to have to go with -1 on this one. It's reading -1. I'm now on experiment 3. Let me put my goggles on. And we are going to start off with our 250 milliliter glass beaker. And we're going to fill it up with 4 of these 25 milliliter graduated cylinders. I'm going to do this off camera. I have now finished adding my 100 milliliters of water into my glass beaker, and now I'm going to set up my fuel burner onto my pie pan. I'm going to do this off camera. I've lit my fuel burner and put my stand, and then I have added my beaker on top. Now that my water has started to bubble, I'm going to go in with my thermometer and do a quick swirl and then get the temperature. I'm getting 101, 102. Now that I have gotten my temperature reading for my first step, I'm going to slide my canister out and put this over my flame to extinguish it. We're going to let everything cool here. We're going to pour my beaker out, rinse it, and then we're on to step 2. I have already done a few steps. I have added my beaker on top of my fuel. I've got everything set up. Now I'm going to go in with my 0.5 tablespoon or teaspoons of salt. I'm going to go ahead and just add it to my beaker. And we're going to see what that does. I'm back. My salt, my 0.5 teaspoons of salt is now bubbling, and I'm going to get a reading. I'm first going to stir it. Let's see. My last reading was 102. This one is looking like it's gonna be around 106. Now that I'm done getting a reading of my step 2, I'm going to do the same thing I did for step 1. Pull my wick fuel out, place this cap over it, and let everything cool down. Rinse this out, and then we're going to be on to step 3. Now that we're on step 3 and I've gotten the water to a boil, I filled up my granulated cylinder 4 times, put it in there. You know the drill. I'm going to go in with 1 teaspoon of salt now into my glass beaker. I'm going to pour it in there, and then I'm going to stir it off camera. Now that my salt has dissolved, I'm going to go in with my thermometer and get a reading. We'll give it a little stir. I'm picking up around a 116, 117. I think I'm going to go with 117.